Hi, I'd like to start today by asking a tough question. Do you know someone who's taken their own life? I bet you do, because according to research, 89% of people actually know someone who has committed suicide. Perhaps it was a loved one, family member, friend, neighbour, work colleague. It may have happened recently, or perhaps a long time ago. When I was 15 years old and I was at school one day, our teacher came into the classroom and told us that Johnny would not be joining us today because there'd been a tragic accident in his backyard. The story we were told, Johnny was playing on the fence with some rope when he fell. He was rushed to hospital, but despite the valiant efforts of all the medical staff, he couldn't be saved. Now we knew it was no accident. See, the backstory was Johnny was being severely bullied at school by some older boys. Many people were, including me. We were picked on, abused, beaten up, and this went on for months. And then, when a karate club opened up in town, we were the first to join. I think we thought we'd learn some moves, self-defense or something. In fact, I thought I was going to be the next Ralph Macchio, you know, wax on, wax off. But I'm assuming it got to the point where Johnny couldn't cope with it anymore. Perhaps he felt no one could help. Maybe he felt no one cared. I say perhaps and maybe because I'll never know. We never spoke about it. Nobody did. And we lived in constant fear and became exceptionally good at this wonderful thing called avoidance and simply put up with it. And of course, as we know, rightly or wrongly, silence endorses any behaviour. Now we know avoidance, right? That sick feeling you get in your stomach when you know you should speak up and talk about something but you don't because it's too scary. And we can avoid physically. Just don't turn up, run away, hide. We can avoid mentally. You know, when you can't be bothered dealing with something or interacting with someone, so you don't. Who's ever ghosted anyone? And we can avoid emotionally. The elephant in the room, when you're so scared to talk about something because it might cause you or someone else to get upset. So we don't. And why do we avoid? Self-preservation. If something's too hard, too uncomfortable, or we don't have the energy, the strength, or the skills to deal with it, then we don't. It's simple. It's easy. And you know what? It works. In the short term at least. But as we all know, if we leave it, it gets bigger and bigger until some point down the track, it'll come back to haunt us. Can anyone relate to this? So when people ask us how we're going, we'll often hear, "Oh yeah, not bad. Yourself?" Or as my teenage sons say, "All good, Dad, all G," when perhaps it's not the case. It's like the duck swimming across the pond. And on the surface, the duck's all cool, calm and collected, but underneath they're paddling like crazy, right? But we don't want to let anyone know we're paddling like crazy. So we wear this mask of success, this mask of competence, of in control, I'm okay, when perhaps we're not. And sadly, little problems end up becoming bigger ones. And then, if we're not careful, we can end up on this slippery slope which often leads people to making some very, very big decisions in a not so good emotional state that can have very serious consequences on themselves, their families, and everyone who knows them. According to the World Health Organization, over 800,000 people around the world die by suicide each year. That's one person every 40 seconds. And for every death by suicide, it's estimated that at least another 30 people will attempt to. Now, the rates vary from country to country, and there are many reasons. It's complex. A close family friend, a farmer, who had endured years of drought and then a devastating bushfire that wiped out everything. He had his reasons. As did a bright young lawyer who just started an exciting professional career but jumped off a city skyscraper. He had his reasons. My cousin had his reasons. Johnny had his reasons. Did you know that men are 3 times more likely to take their own life than women? And why is that? Well, this may surprise you, but boys have more mental health issues than girls. Men get eating disorders too. Dads get postnatal depression also. In fact, mental health has a huge impact on a man's physical health. And whilst depression is still a major factor that contributes to the high suicide rates in men, it's not the only cause. Male suicides are commonly linked to a range of distressing life events: relationship issues, family history, bereavement, legal matters, job insecurity, and the big one, financial pressures. And on this last point, gambling addictions are one of the biggest factors that contribute to poor mental health in men. But only 27% of men reach out support for their mental health concerns, compared to 40% for women. Now that may not surprise you, but this is still a big problem. But it doesn't need to be. So why don't men like to seek support? Well, maybe we don't want to be seen as weak or incompetent. Maybe we don't want to burden other people with our problems. Or maybe we feel really awkward, asking and seeking help from someone, and we're terrified of having that conversation. So we don't. All good. In a recent study about the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on men's mental health, 8 out of 10 men, that's 80%, said they actually would find it helpful if someone reached out to them when they were having a difficult time. So we actually don't mind. It's good. We like it. Yet over half said that no one actually reached out and asked them how they were coping during the pandemic. With all the disruptions and changes with work, family, government rules and restrictions, the frustrations, the disappointments, the despair, only 1 in 2 men were actually asked how they were going. And what was that again? Men are 3 times more likely to take their own lives than women? Hello? It's a no-brainer. So if there's anyone that you're worried about right now that you have not reached out to see if they're okay, then don't wait. Do it now. They want you to. They like it. And you don't have to be a psychologist or anything like that. Just turn up, ask if they're okay. And if they say they're not, that's okay too. You're not expected to have the answers. In fact, did you know that most people already know the answers to their own problems? So you don't have to come up with things. You just need to listen and be there for someone. But isn't there this whole stigma thing about men's mental health? Well, I like to think of it like this. If you had a problem with your car, a little noise in the engine or something, you'd go and see a mechanic, right? Or if you had a tricky taxation issue, then you'd go and see your accountant. Or you had that mole on your leg that had changed colour, then you'd probably go and see your doctor, right? Now, in all those situations, we're not expected to be experts, but there are people who are experts, who are trained, qualified, experienced, professionals who know stuff way more than us. They know how to check things out, they know what works, they know what doesn't work, don't they? And we usually trust their opinions, we act on their recommendations because they can help and they have our best interests at heart. And guess what? Mental health is no different. And there is no shame in seeking professional help. There is no shame in seeking help for things that we're not expected to be good or know much about. So if you have someone right now in your life that's wary about talking to someone, then I recommend use those analogies. So how do you get men to talk? Well, there's a saying I heard many years ago at my son's school from the deputy principal about how to get boys to talk more beyond the superficial stuff. Like, how was school today? Good. What did you get up to? Nothing. He said, and it really got me, boys talk when they walk. And it just struck a chord with me. I mean, think about it. You don't sit a bloke down and use the F word on him. No, not that F word. You don't simply say, so how are you feeling today? Chances are you'll get the standard deflection. Oh yeah, not bad. Yourself? Boys talk when they walk. You have a much better chance of getting a man to open up about stuff when you engage in activity. exercise, a hobby, doing something together. Most men love it, and especially if you're direct with them. So don't beat around the bush, but keep it casual and informal, but be authentic. Remember, they want you to. And when you do, look out for the early warning signs that things might not be okay. Have they put on weight? Have they lost weight? Are there any behaviour changes? Have they become withdrawn or disengaged? Maybe they're more aggressive, they're more competitive, they're arguing with you all the time, even about the little things. Maybe they're complaining more, simply just don't care anymore. Are they drinking more? Have the courage to ask, are you okay? And really listen without judgment. Let them know that A, you care, B, you've noticed a change, and C, that you really want to help. Then encourage action by connecting them with people who can help. This is really, really simple stuff, and it's very powerful, and we can all do it. And don't forget to reconnect and check in on them later on. By asking, are you okay, you just might save a life. As I wrap up my talk today, I can't help but think about those stats again. And the time it's taken me to talk to you, around 18 people will have taken their own life. And around 540 will have attempted to. If only I knew the things that I know now when I was 15. If only I had the courage and the skills to ask Johnny, was he okay? What would you have done to help Johnny? Do you have a Johnny in your life right now? Are you Johnny? If you are, and you're struggling with stuff right now, please know that there is no shame in seeking help. And remember, when you seek help, you get help.